What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny's Rocky in Review. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes and I'm joined by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez,
Great afternoon, everybody.
the producer slash seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hey, fear is bad for you. It comes for you and you go get it. It's good for you, though.
Fear's the mind killer, yeah.
And rounding out our group today is the one and only Sancho West.
Only in America, baby. Only in America.
I didn't expect him at all. I can't wait to talk about this movie with you, fine gentlemen. Of course, we had been doing Rocky in Review. We were going to be leading into Creed, but now it's next year. So we have one more Rocky ahead of us with Rocky Balboa next week, which is really exciting stuff all the way around. This has been quite the journey, quite the education for me and Andy watching this franchise for the first time. And nice little trip down memory lane, right, for Nick and Sancho West going through these films. You can watch all of it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show ad-free and watch live as we record it, you're going to want to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers Molecule and Fargo Brady have done. Today, we're brought to you by MeUndies, but I will tell you all about that later. Let's get right into it. Rocky 5, released on November 16th, 1990, a whole 5 years after Rocky 4. Pretty wild to think about, with Rocky 1 coming out in 1976, Andy. I started doing the math on that, thinking like, wow, okay, cool. That was, 14 years earlier. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't know. I just can't believe it. That's such a insane gap between these years.
Well,
right?
we think about like compared to the Star Wars franchise, like going 30 years in between prequels and sequels and all that shit. And this one, I think if they got to year 4, at that point, I would have been like, let's call it. Let's call this. We don't really necessarily need to move on with part 5.
That's just wild. And I just can't believe that it spans so much. And then the next movie's not till 2006. So it's like, and here we are in 2022, about to be 2023, still coming out with these movies in the same universe. Wild stuff. The runtime of this one was 1 hour and 44 minutes. It was once again directed by John Avildsen, who we know as the director of Lean on Me, but more importantly, the director of Rocky 1 and the director of The Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. According to the director, Rocky was originally going to die after the street fight with Tommy Gunn.
Cool.
The studio ordered them to change the ending, saying that iconic characters like Rocky Balboa shouldn't die. This one was once again written by Sylvester Stallone, who has directed the last couple of these movies. Music returning Bill Conti, the same guy that did the kind of original Rocky movies, not the last movie that was Vince DiCola, number 4. He also was the guy that did all the Karate Kid films as well. Budget of $42 million on this one, and a box office of $120 million, the lowest grossing film in the Rocky franchise. In a 2010 interview with The Sun, Sylvester Stallone said that he made the film out of greed. In an interview with Jonathan Ross, Sylvester Stallone was asked to rate each of the Rocky movies out of 10. He gave this movie a 0. 1999, Time named the film as one of the 100 worst ideas of the 20th century.
It's so funny.
Like, wow. That is not even just movies, fucking ideas. Jesus Christ. Sancho West, in a rare moment here at Kinda Funny, you requested to go first with your thoughts on this film.
All right. Listen, the gloves are off. Mm-hmm. This is the worst movie I've ever seen in such a long time. I felt like Apollo Creed getting pummeled in the face by Drago in this movie while I was watching Rocky 5. It feels like a Lifetime movie. It feels like I'm watching a Hallmark movie. It feels like Stallone is not even himself. It feels like an alien came down from Earth, pretended to watch Rocky 1 for the first time and decided I could be in a Rocky movie and decided to be Rocky in Rocky 5. This movie is bad. There's nothing redeeming about this movie. It doesn't matter. It just fundamentally is just bad. It hurts my soul to see such an iconic character go through this. It's as if someone decided to license the character of Rocky and say, you get Stallone and you get the original directors, you get the original music, you get everything about it, and they just threw it in the trash, because that is what Rocky 5 is. It's as if Spider-Man, it makes Sony's Spider-Man look better, like 1,000 times better than anything that they decided to do. It hurts my heart to see such a great character, and throughout this entire journey for Rocky in review, the score, the music, going the distance, the training montages, everything going for it. I know we talked about how everything is so formulaic, but the formula was so good that when they toss it into what is Rocky 5, it blows my mind that this movie was made. I'm glad that Stallone gave this a 0. I give it a -10. This goes all the way down. This goes all the way down to the bottom. And this whole time during the review, I'm sitting here like, yeah, I love Rocky. Rocky's a classic franchise. I just forgot how bad Rocky 5 is. And there's nothing redeeming of this entire movie. And there's this one scene that I realized that, yeah, this is bad, is when he's like, hey, how you doing, Christmas here, Paulie? What do you mean? We're all having a good time. He's just like, he's like a bobblehead Stallone. And I'm like, yeah, man.
His brain's mush, dude. What do you
expect, dude?
Like, that was my main problem when they decided to bring this realism, but the execution is just bad. The idea maybe was good, but the execution of making Rocky this problematic character that's facing these harsh realities of going back to the streets, in this shroud of the 90s, weird, pumped up the jam, pump it up music, it just doesn't fit, bro.
You don't like the hip hop Take Me Back?
No, Nick, I did not like it, and I love nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, but there is nothing redeeming of this movie, and I'm glad it's over.
I think you're crazy, Sancho, because when audiences, according to Wikipedia, audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of an A.
No. When you look at the Amazon Prime score, why does it have like 4.5 stars or 4 stars? No, it should be blank, barren, nothing. That's my thoughts.
Andy Cortez, I really want to hear your thoughts as somebody that has not seen this movie before. You've been on this journey for the first time, watching all these Rocky films. What do you think of Rocky 5?
I don't think this movie's that bad. I really don't. I think the other movies have equally amount of dumb shit in them too. They're just overall better thought of. Like, watching this movie, it's not good. Don't get me wrong. It really is not good. But I think it was just hyped up too much for me of the shit show that it was gonna be. I was expecting maybe 2 robots this time. There's no robots in this movie.
No fucking robots.
There's no talking robots. There's no happy birthday Polly's that end up, there's no robots getting banged by a human being in this one. I was expecting
the one last time.
I think so.
Oh yeah, Polly was fucking the robot. Oh yeah. They talked about like changing the parts, whatever.
Tying the tubes. Yeah.
I expected a lot more dumb shit like that. Instead, I got a movie that just didn't really have any ideas. It felt like a movie that was contractually obligated to be made, and they just had to kind of think of something to do. And I don't think it's the dumbest call to have this be the story for the movie. I just think the writing is bad. The acting is bad. It's silly in a lot of ways. I think my favorite sequence in this whole movie is during the montage when he's training Tommy Gunn and his son is yearning for attention. His son wants to learn how to box too, and his son is like, Dad, Dad, pay attention to me. I'm here too. And then we cut away to Stallone with Tommy Gunn in a headlock, giving him a noogie, as if he's a 12-year-old kid. Like, it is. There's a lot of stupid shit in this movie, but I could name a lot of other stupid shit in the other Rocky movies as well. I still think it's bad. It's probably the worst one. Actually, yeah, it's the worst one. But I don't know. I was hoping for way worse. Like, I was hoping for way worse in terms of like I'm laughing because it's terrible and I'm still being entertained in a way. I just think it's like not a good movie that it didn't need to be made.
Andy Cortez, I have to go right after you. I was waiting to hear what you had to say about this, and I am right there with you. I was expecting Catwoman bad, and instead,
same.
I got The Karate Kid 3 bad.
Yeah.
In some worlds, that means kind of good in a way. Like, let's be fucking real. This movie sucks. Like, this movie is not good. I get it. It's not good. It is the worst of them. I love how much fucking fun they had. In the same way, we get Terry Silver up in the ante so much more than anyone ever needed to in the Karate Kid franchise. We get this motherfucker Duke Washington coming through, showing up everywhere, just being pure evil.
Tim,
man.
they're Team Rocket. They're
Yo,
Team Rocket,
straight
dude.
up, man.
How did you get a microphone to hook up to the fucking like,
Dude, it is so fucking funny. And the whole time we've been watching these, I'm like, they're really just doing the same damn movie over and over and over. They don't even give a shit. And they have some hype moments here and there. We get to this one about 20 minutes in. I'm like, what is going on? Like, they're treating this as if they're up in the ante. Like, are we about to get a fucking ladder match, a triple threat match? Like, this is wrestling now. What is about to happen? And the not knowing, having not seen this movie before, the twists and turns of like, Tommy's being trained by Rocky. Tommy's going to turn on Rocky. What's the kid going to do? Is the fucking kid gonna fight Tommy? There's no way.
Kid was gonna fight.
There's no way. There's no way they're gonna make that happen. And I did not expect out of anything that this movie would end with a street fight between Tommy and fucking Rocky that lasted so long. And then they played the Rocky theme, but it was a hip hop version, and it was so fucking stupid. I had a great time with this movie. I legitimately enjoyed watching it more than I've enjoyed some of the other ones. Not all of them. And real talk, like being critical, like it's not good. It's not good. But my God, was I led astray thinking that this movie was an absolute travesty. And instead, it is the 5th Rocky movie, and God damn, it lives up to that.
I think Sancho hit on something that I want to riff off for a second, where you talked about repeating the formula, but I actually think this was their attempt to depart from the formula.
Right.
And I think that's where, to that degree, I give them a little bit of kudos for at least doing something different. Is it a good thing? No, it's definitely not. When I watched this when I was a kid, was I like, so they fought in the street? Are they gonna go to the ring? It's a Rocky movie. It's supposed to end with them in the ring, and then the movie just ends, and you're like, oh no.
Nick, it's kind of like, wait, I'm not gonna be Solid Snake. I'm gonna be this Raiden guy.
Yeah, exactly. But it was, but I think there's a lot of things that they tried that I respect. It just didn't work out, right? I like that this is sort of the origin of Rocky being a trainer. I think that's cool. It's fun to see him in that role. I think Stallone has that sort of like childlike wonder of like, oh, I do have something that I can do now. I do have another shot at glory, but it's through this other person. And I think you're going to see that maybe mirrored again later in the Creed films. But what this movie fails, or what it unfortunately does, is it creates just a slog of a drama. It's just not in any way, shape, or form fun or entertaining.
Not inspiring.
To watch Rocky lose all of his money from some stupid reason. Why you would let Paulie do anything is ridiculous.
Hallmark movie reason.
That is the most ridiculous. So here's the thing.
So
Paulie, come on!
It does happen. It does happen.
No, it does.
I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it does. But
Nick, real quick, I just want to say it's in line with that point. Like that, when that happened, I was like, oh, they aren't. I already know they're not going to explain this more. Like that is the reasoning. He's about to be fucking poor, and like we're done. Let's fucking go. But my favorite thing, like we've been talking about how these movies just mirror Rocky's or Stallone's life, right? As they like keep going up, and it's like his rise, his fall, like all of that stuff. Like now he has a robot. Like it's just that robot was his fucking friend in real life. Like all that fucking shit, right? My other thing that I didn't realize how much I love about these movies as they go on is how ridiculous the panel at the press conferences get every single time. Like, why the fuck is Paulie there? Why the fuck is Adrian?
Who
there?
are these press members?
Why are they?
We deserve an answer right now, Rocky. We deserve that. Like, shut the fuck up.
All I'll say is this: I don't watch a lot of pre-fight press conferences. I've been a part of a couple of them for the UFC when we used to cover the game. And if anyone talked to their fighters, like these people, the press talked to these fighters, Dana White would have had them killed. Like straight up. I have never heard any media outlet talk like this in my entire life. And again, I don't watch boxing pressers, so maybe Sancho, maybe you could speak to that. Maybe they're fucking insane. But you would be kicked out and never allowed back in if you talked to one of the fighters this way.
I wanted to touch on Sancho and both Nick talking about the formulaic structures of a lot of these movies, and that is definitely one thing that I appreciated. Not that I loved any of the outcomes, but I loved the unpredictability of it. When we watch the other Rocky movies, you know that you look at how much time is left in the movie and you go, all right, there's going to be a big fight at the end, and that's how this movie's going to end. Or when Rocky loses in the middle of the movie, you go, oh, there's going to be a rematch, and that's what the final fight's going to be. But in this movie, when Tommy Gunn beats
Tommy
what's
the
his face?
Machine Gunn.
That's a great name, by the way. Really dope.
When Tommy Gunn beats what's his face?
Kane.
Kane.
Union Kane.
Yeah, when
badass name
both
also.
awesome names. Jesus Christ. When Tommy Gunn beats Union Kane in near like the middle of the movie, my mind is just going like, what? Like,
What's happening next?
How is this movie gonna end? Like, because I don't think it's gonna end in a normal boxing match. But if it does, that's still kind of like something that I wouldn't have predicted, because I would have predicted this fight to be the end. So, like, what are they gonna do next? Again, not that I like the outcome of any of it. I think that the idea of fighting in a street is so stupid, but it was entertainingly terrible. Still in a way. I just wish. I'm not right there exactly as where Tim is. Where like I wish this movie was just a little bit more stupid in order for me to enjoy it.
Me too. I honestly, giving it Karate Kid 3 is giving it a little too much credit. I want to be
because I was
there.
laughing the whole time at Terry Silver in that movie. It was a blast.
Great.
It's a blast.
Well, they knew what they were doing with that.
He's a fucking nutcase.
This one, I think is just a really, really odd mix of ideas and actors, and it just doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work. If you were to tell me, listen, I like he's a fighter who loses all of his money because he has a crooked lawyer or accountant. Hey, that happens, right? That happens to actors. That happens to fighters. People get taken advantage of all the time. And then Rocky has to go back to his old neighborhood. That's interesting. That's an interesting setup for me, right? How does his kid, who has only ever known wealth, adjust to that? I like seeing that. Is he gonna beat the shit out of the kid from Entourage? Why the hell not? I don't know. That's all stuff that I find fascinating. And then, Rocky's got this young upstart kid who's him basically from 20 years ago that wants to train him. Cool. But then you start picking it apart and you're like, this Tommy Gun guy, who I believe was a real boxer.
Yes,
right?
he was. Yes, correct.
Not a good actor. Not a compelling person to watch at all. Not likable really in any way, shape, or form. And I really wish they had just, like, you compare that, and of course, no future spoilers, but you have to compare that with Michael B. Jordan. It's like, no, get the fuck out of here. Michael B. Jordan is so much more of a well-rounded like talent, and he's way more charismatic and charming to watch. And you needed to sort of fall in love with that person like we fell in love with the original Rocky, whereas Tommy's just kind of annoying. He can't really act. The mullet, admittedly, Tim, incredible,
really good,
incredible.
It was good.
Glorious.
But the movie overall is just really it sort of is at odds with itself because it wants to be a hard-hitting drama. It wants to be Rocky really coming to terms with the fact that he's once again having to prove himself that he's not a bum on the streets of Philadelphia. But then you've got these absurdly cartoony villains that on the other side are like, well, saying let's screw him, saying like, and you're like, what? Like, there's that one guy that's like the henchman. Like, why the fuck is this guy in the movie? What is happening here?
And on top of that,
so ridiculous.
There's this woman that is just like his. There's the right hand guy, and then there's the left hand woman who just will do this Duke Washington's dirty work.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing is, I swear to God, it feels like she was green screened in to every scene, and like the premiere edit timeline got like pushed a little bit because she always feels like she's not responding to people or having a conversation. People are talking and then she'll just say something in the background that like is like 3 seconds off of when she should have said it. Like, oh my God, man.
I really wonder, like, from what I understand, he said he was made out of greed, and they try to put the band back together again. They try to capture, they put it back in Philly. They literally drug Meredith Burgess out of the grave, it felt like, and they woke him up and they try to get him in this Mickey at the very end. But the thing about the reason why that it bums me out, and I feel like a bum watching this movie, is because the iconic character of Rocky is just put in this weird place, and it just feels like Stallone is just pretending. You could see he's acting like Rocky, like this idea of Rocky, that's who he is. And it just doesn't make sense. It literally, in a flash, it goes from Rocky 4 to him shivering in the shower to...
Which is a great scene.
A great scene. And then to him, to all of a sudden, just dropping everything that the way he was in Rocky 4 to acting like Rocky in Rocky 1, it just felt so jarring, especially seeing Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4. To get to that was strange, and I just didn't buy it, and it felt problematic for me watching the whole time.
It's interesting though, because like if you said, look, this is the first 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, holy shit, this is really fucking real, right? And then he comes home and his kid goes, does dad seem a little off to you? And you think to yourself, wow, is this movie really going to be about CTE? Like, is it going to be a commentary on what happens to boxers in their later life? And they could have just been like, yo, he's just going to be what Apollo was, like, where he's like, he can't really fight, he's a little too old, he's a bit off, and the doctors won't clear him. And then this new kid comes into his life and gives him another
A new
reason to go
purpose,
at it
right.
and get a new purpose. But instead they're like, no, he's got to fight him at the end. And it's like, what happened to if you get punched a couple more times in the brain, you fucking die? What,
Right.
Oh, I guess that doesn't matter when you're on the
Bare-fisted
streets.
also.
Bare knuckled, hitting concrete, getting tackled through chain link fences, and like it's just so categorically like it just needed like pare it down to a more simple idea and find the heart of it, which is that
Agreed.
Rocky's struggling to find a new lot in life. Andy, what were you gonna say?
I think that hearing that Stallone was really disappointed with this as well, you got to assume that it had to have been devastating to use the Mickey card on this movie.
Yep.
Like that ammo has been in the chamber, and it's just like, when are we going to bring back this Mickey card? When are we going to have fucking Yoda talk to Luke in this moment or whatever? And it's gotta suck that it was wasted on this movie for that. Not saying that, Meredith Burgess would have been alive in the following one or whatever, but it feels like you had something good there. You had a good concept there of just talking to the old wise Jedi master, and for it to be wasted on this movie is kind of a bummer.
It definitely is. And on top of that, like to Nick's point about the shower scene, like being really good and like in a different movie, like after that moment, it could have been something really special. I really love the end of it where Adrian is talking to Rocky and like he's like clearly fucked up. He's like, I just want to go home, Mick. Like, we didn't need to see him. We didn't need to see Mickey. Like, we just needed that one line was like, that's everything we need to know about like where his psyche's at that point. I was like, dude, this is pretty damn good. But
we needed to see Mick so that we could introduce the necklace that was going to be
You're right.
like the thing.
You're right. We
That's
got the dice.
That's the only reason why they did it, which was interesting to say the least, because again, I like the dynamic between him and Tommy and Robert. Like, I think it's interesting that it makes sense. Rocky's like, oh my God, I have this new shot. And of course, he promised his son he'd always be number one. And the kid takes a very quick second to everything else that's happening. There's the ideas in this are good. They're just so poorly executed. And it really does feel like it starts to feel like a money grab. And it's sad.
Before we get to the plot, of course, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to get this show ad free. But for everyone else, here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes. I love MeUndies. It is very rare, if ever, that you'll see me not wearing MeUndies head to toe. I'm wearing the MeUndies shirt. I'm wearing the MeUndies lounge shorts. I'm wearing the MeUndies socks. I'm wearing the MeUndies undies. Of course I am. Everyone knows MeUndies for their super soft undies and comfy bralettes. But did you know that they make other stuff too? They have daily tees, shorts, rompers that add a little silky softness to your everyday. They even make hoodies for your dog. You know that Toretto and Moose be rocking those as well. MeUndies is your destination for all things soft and sustainable. For any first-time purchasers, you get 20% off plus free shipping and returns. To get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/kindafunny. That's MeUndies.com/kindafunny. You're not going to regret it. You're going to love MeUndies, just like I do. MeUndies.com/kindafunny. Andy, hit it.
Plot. Here's the plot. Here's the plot. Here's the plot.
Rocky 5. Oh, I thought he was going to do the thing replay.
I don't know why would you think that? I've never done that before.
This is the movie that breaks the trends, everybody.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Nick and Andy are going to have a street fight.
Wow.
I need the 90s beat behind that too, you know?
I mean, Jesus Christ. It's incredibly insulting. Rocky wins the Cold War, but at what price? Rocky, go to the hospital. Why would they not take, after that beating, for sure he would have gone to the hospital, but he's like, no, instead he's in the shower and he's shaking, and Adrian finds him there, and he says something inside of him is broke, and that thing is his brain.
A fully nude Rocky, by the way.
He's
Like,
so
we get
naked.
it all. We
so
get it all.
impossibly naked.
Very,
Andy,
I mean,
hit the song.
I mean, do we see the abs though?
Make a bun song right now, man.
Yeah, dude.
Make a butt song?
Buns. There it is. Buns. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Buns, where we see Sylvester Stallone's buns. Man, they look good. Those things are pert. That's the word I'm going to use for that, Tim. Pert.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
I concur.
He looks
Pert.
great.
He looks great.
This scene is terrifying though, because
Yeah.
we've never seen Billy Rocky this vulnerable. He can't stop his hands from shaking, and all he
Mhm.
wants to do is go home. Of course, when he gets there, Rocky returns home, and apparently he's been gone for so long that his son has not only
Miller's
aged
Planet,
5
dude.
years, but is a completely different person, just a completely different actor. Welcome,
Sage
Sage
Stallone.
Stallone. Yes.
Sage Stallone, Sylvester's real-life son, portrays his character's son in the film. In Rocky IV, he was portrayed as a 9-year-old child, whereas Sage was 14 at the time of filming, making him a teenager in Rocky V, despite it taking place just days after the events of Rocky IV. You
Very
gotta
strange.
fucking love it, man.
It's funny because when I watched this, obviously they were so far apart from Rocky IV, Rocky V. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. And you watch them back to back, week to week. You're like, what alternate dimension did Drago knock him into, where his
Dude.
son is like 10 years older?
Well, on top of that, too, there's other choices they make that I'm like, you guys, you're the ones in charge of naming characters and of making these decisions. So what I'm about to read you is truly bizarre. Tony Burton briefly reprises his role as Duke at the beginning of the film. However, during his scene, Rocky refers to him as Tony. In the credits, Burton's credited as playing Tony as opposed to Duke, to avoid confusion with the George Washington Duke character.
I literally just wrote that down here. I was like, why would
Why?
they name this character Duke? There's another character, and it's not like it's a random dude. Like,
No.
Duke is his trainer now. Duke is
Yeah,
like, spoiler,
they're-
you know, like Duke, you never know when he's going to come back and play a major role to inspire Rocky to go win. It's so weird.
Why are they acting like they had no other choice? Like you're trying to write yourself out of a hole that you dug. Like
Yeah.
it's just name the guy a different thing. It's not like the novelizations came out and that Tommy
Right,
Gunn's
we already
agent name
did
was
it.
Duke, and you had
George
to like,
R. Martin thing.
yeah. Why are
Well,
you trying to
so-
retcon this?
This is going to be dumb, but this is my theory on this, right? This character is obviously an analog for Don King.
Yes.
And
Don
you
King.
can't call him king, so you got to call him what's better. What's the next best thing to a king? I guess Duke.
The
You
Duke.
could have called him Prince. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's very, very weird.
could have
But
been
for-
Donald Prince, yeah, or some shit.
it's just a baffling idea, and it's one that clearly Stallone was like, who cares? Just do it. Just do the
Just
thing. Let's
do
get this
it.
done and make some money. Also, I don't think from this point on, well, I guess we've seen him with his shirt off, but I was gonna say I don't think he really trained that hard for this movie. Because you don't really see him beyond this, right? Anyway, I digress. Rocky gives a press conference. George Washington Duke interrupts to pitch him on the idea of fighting Union Kane. And I would say no, but I'll tell you what, man. When he says what the name of the fight's gonna be, letting it go in Tokyo, I'm like,
Dude,
That
I love
sounds
it.
pretty lit.
it's pretty lit, but I also love that this guy immediately is just like, all right, he's an even more cartoony like version of Creed, and he's just everything like the letting it go in Tokyo. I'm like, all right, cool. I guess that's the direction we're going. But this entire press conference scene is so funny to me. He gets off the plane, Rocky's theme is playing in universe, which I'm always a fan of. They have this
Yeah,
marching band
very baffling.
playing Rocky's theme. Fuck yeah.
Diegetic.
Then they get into the press conference, and like I've been thinking about it. I'm like, it's weird that Polly's here, and then the next movie, it's weird that Adrian's here. The fucking kid's at this press conference. Like the goddamn kid is sitting next to him on this fucking panel, and I'm like, who decided this? This is weird. And then we have this guy, this journalist, who's just like, what you gonna do? Hey, you gotta tell us what you're gonna do. What are you gonna do? How
are you
many
gonna do,
times is he
Rocky?
gonna ask, man? Sit down.
We
Let
deserve
him answer.
answers.
It's just so bad. I mean, I'm trying to think about what was Stallone doing in his career, and he just runs into a weird like stint in his career. After this, he does Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
bad
So
as
you
fuck.
understand that he's in a weird lull. And there's another movie he did called Oscar, where he plays like this mafioso boss.
I like Oscar. I remember liking that movie. When I was
Right,
a kid.
right.
It's
But
cute.
I think he's in that mode because he's so jovial in this mode. He's that Rocky that's so happy to be around people. But what I mean is like the transition, like I wish he delved into like he slowly like sit in that moment.
Reverted.
He like sit in that moment of him being broken because he's like overwhelmed in this press conference. He has the shades on, which he still looks great in. He's walking the aviators, and like they're bombarding him with this crazy press conference from hell. But I just wish he was more in that moment, because then immediately when it transitions to the next scene, Nick, it's like it doesn't feel like we sat in that sad moment for too long at all.
It's very weird.
God,
But-
this looks terrible.
Rocky,
Oh no, another Tommy gun though.
I mean,
Oh wow,
Andy, listen, I haven't seen this movie in probably 30 years, maybe 20
you
years.
still love it.
But I gotta tell you, 10 out of 10.
You're gonna
I
watch
stand
it
by
tonight. You're
I
gonna...
might do a double feature of Down Periscope and Oscar.
God, I fucking
Just
hate
for
you.
you.
The other night on Discord, I like went to go wash dishes, and then I came back and Down Periscope was playing.
And what's funny is Mike watched it again after that because, quote, I couldn't really focus on what was going on. I had to watch it again.
Kelsey
Rocky,
Grammer, bro.
of course, blows them all off, and thanks Adrian for sticking by his side. Then he heads back to their place in the East Coast, and Rocky Jr. is like, hey, is that a little off to everyone? And it's like, who are you, kid? What happened to my other child?
Like, wait, you're a little off.
Yeah, you were crazy. And then this is the closest thing. Again, I think to your point, I said this is the closest thing of Rocky being Rocky from the first movie. But Rocky from the first movie is very, very jovial, and it is kind of weird that he sort of reverts back to that. I don't think it was done intentionally. I just think that's how Stallone chose to play the role.
I mean, I think it was entirely intentional. Like, this is the reunion of the director and all that stuff. Like, they're essentially like, let's just make a sequel to Rocky 1 and just pretend the other ones didn't happen unless the plot points had to have happened.
Yeah, fair.
Good point, Tim.
Let's see. Rocky Jr. really likes drawing boobs.
Dude,
apparently he's at that age.
Hold on. They walk up in this fucking room. He's talking to this kid, right? And he sees the folder and he looks and he sees one thing and he turns around and he sees the most ridiculous boobs I've ever seen. And like, I swear to God, I had to stop for a second and be like, am I watching like the Scary Movie version of Rocky? Like, that felt like a parody joke, right? Where it's just like he keeps going, it's just more weird, wacky things.
Or like a sort of edit that somebody makes where they just like After Effects out what he's looking at.
Oh man, this is a fucking
such a weird choice, dude.
The way he's like, hey, you know, well, you keep going, you draw me a note, draw one for me, you know? And I'm like, what are you doing?
That's my teacher. Like, what? Your teacher's posing nude for you? What the fuck?
Like, you can imagine a different take of this where Rocky just kind of delicately puts it down and just goes, oh no. Anyway, later that night, all hell breaks loose because Polly, for whatever reason, has the power to give their accountant power of attorney, and the guy robbed them blind. They're broke. Let's see. All they have left is that is unencumbered is mixed gyms. That's all they have. The lawyer, and then we get to this very strange. Hold on, Sancho, I gotta get this out. We get to this random panel of lawyers who it's like, what about this? And they're like, listen, I got an answer for that too. Everything you think that you could to get you from fucking living back at your old place, we've already thought of, and we're gonna have an excuse for why that can't be the case right now. And it's so stupid. Sancho, what were you gonna say?
I have a question for you, Nick Scarpino.
Yeah.
You are, your cinematic knowledge, your editing and all that background that you have. Why does this movie have Fade to Blacks? Why? And there's just so many
of time. That's what they want to do. Those are used in this to show that like this didn't just happen the next day, right? There's a little fade to black and we fade up, and we're supposed to be like to the viewer, like, okay, well that means a couple weeks have gone by. They've done some research, and this is what's really, really happening.
We had the Star Wars wipe.
That was
leaving
cooler.
the press conference, we had this slow kind of wipe. It was really awesome.
That is very, very strange, but.
Well, why? Because it felt like I'm expecting, like when I'm watching it on Amazon Prime or whatever, AMC Plus, whatever it's on. I'm sitting there watching it, and all of a sudden it does a fade to black. I'm like, is there a commercial about to play right now? Am I about to get a commercial? But they just seem like they just hit so many times. I felt like that's what made it like lazy execution with these fade to blacks that happen sporadically throughout the entire movie.
It's clunky at best, I'll tell you that. But either way, they're like, listen, Rock, you got really no choice. You should take this fight with King because it's gonna be payday, and you can just dig yourself out of this. Adrian, of course, was like, no, you can't do this. I know you're fucked up. I want you to see a doctor. If the doctor signs off, she's like, oh, you can fight him. Fine. Unfortunately, not one, but two doctors. There's just needs to be a panel of people there to tell Rocky that he's got brain damage. And these guys look like they're straight out of a fucking comedy.
And on top of that, again, this was a line that felt like a Scary Movie thing where Dr. One goes, words, brain damage. And then Dr. Two goes, what he's trying to say is it's brain damage.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck did I just see?
And then Adrian goes, well, he couldn't possibly get licensed in any state, right, doctors? And the doctors are like, that is correct. He couldn't possibly get licensed in any state. So there's no possible way Rocky could fight again.
Well, I mean, Rocky, I think, uses the sound sort of rebuttal and advice that I always use for myself, the self-advice, where I'm just like, yeah, but you could be wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody's
But
wrong
that's
every
why-
once in a
but
while.
honestly,
Like,
that's why there's two doctors. That's how stupid this movie is they were like, well, if there's one doctor, he could be wrong. And of course, if Rocky were Rocky, he'd go for a second opinion, right? But then what if we put two doctors there?
It's 9 out of 10 doctors believe he has brain damage.
It's so many doctors. It's so-
where's that? I got to find that one.
Oh man. But of course, Adrian breaks it down, and she says, "Listen, if you care about someone, you live for. Sorry, if you care about somebody, you live with them. You live for them. You don't gamble with their life, Rocky. I don't care about the money. It's you. That's all that matters." And so he's like, "All right, I'll officially retire." And they sell everything, and it's really sad, especially when Stage Stallone's just sitting on his old motorcycle, and some guy's like, "Hey, kid, get the fuck off the bike! Somebody bought that."
Dude,
I don't know.
missed opportunity, man. I was sitting here, I'm like, oh my God, there's an auction. They're going to fucking sell the robot. It's going to happen.
Happy
We're going to hear
birthday.
them. And they
True.
didn't do it.
I mean,
And Polly's like, "No, my robot!" And just as the truck goes, "Happy birthday, Polly."
remember me, Polly. I never forget you. I thought that this entire scene would have been better if they all ended up at Planet Hollywood at the very end. All the
That
memorabilia.
could have been incredible.
It could have been incredible.
And I'm pretty sure 90% of it did.
Yes, it did.
Rocky heads back to the street. I'm sorry. From here, we get a scene where Rocky's digging through all their old things in the attic, and he finds his old hat and Adrian's old glasses, and we get a little flashback of her wearing them. And then he asks her to talk to Robert Jr., Rocky Jr., while he goes for a walk because the kid's not taking it very well. And then Rocky heads back to the streets wearing exactly what he wore 15 years ago. Which is so weird and such an honest to God confounding
It's so
choice.
jarring. It's
It's
so
jarring,
jarring.
Because that's
Mad
when it starts
jarring.
feeling like a parody where you're like,
Yes.
nobody else does. Adrian's like, I'm not wearing those fucking glasses. Those are from like
But he tries
1963.
giving them to her. Like, they went too far in even an attempt there where it's like, we get it. Just
And
show,
even-
like,
Paulie has his hat. Remember, he has his little
oh my
bucket
God,
hat.
you're
He has the
right.
same hat.
You're
Dude.
right.
Very strange. He remembers his time with Mickey, of course. We get a flashback of Burgess Meredith, and they got him out of his armchair to come up and do the scene, unfortunately. And it's all new footage. And Mickey says, listen, if I wasn't here, I'd probably wouldn't be alive today. He tells Rocky that Rocky is his motivation for keeping on living. And it's endearing. And then he's like, listen, I'm going to give you my most prized possession. I just happen to have it in this ring, even though we just finished training. This is a cufflink from Rocky Marciano that he used to wear. I put it on a necklace. And he says, this is going to be like a little guardian angel around your neck that whispers to you whenever you're down. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you.
This flashback, or what? Yeah, I guess flashback. It takes up half the runtime of this film.
It's long.
It is long. It is
But
mad
when
long.
Burgess Meredith says, get up, you son of a bitch, because
He's
Mickey
good.
loves you.
And now look, here's the thing. We've spent 4 movies now, me and Andy, being like, we want a little bit of setup and payoff in the cheesy way. They gave it to us.
They
So you
did.
know what? Maybe we were assholes for
You're
asking.
dumb. You're dumb fucks. You were
I
super
regret
dumb.
it.
and shout out to Meredith Burgess. We need. I don't know when Kind of Funny is exhausted every movie on the planet. Grumpy Old Men in Review would be amazing because Meredith
He's
Burgess
in that?
is the
Oh,
goat.
he's
Yes,
the dad.
He's the dad.
He's the best.
Shit.
He
Yes, dude.
he has a whole scene of outtakes where he just does euphemisms for sex,
Yes.
and it's great. And it's great.
Yes. Dude.
Hearing Burgess Meredith say, "I'm not," you know what? I'm not even gonna repeat it because some of them are just too bad. But anyway, we should all watch those movies. They're great.
Yep.
Now, Tim, I have a question for you.
Please give
When
it
you
to me.
started this movie,
Mhm.
did you expect the hip hop version of "Take Me Back"?
You know, I didn't. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. You're hating for no fucking reason. If we can love the goddamn synth in the last movie and we can appreciate all the choices they made, I love that these movies feel like the time that they were made in. Like, this very much is. It's 1990. It is not the 90s. It is not
Tim, I'm
the
with you, bro.
80s. It is
I'm with
right
you,
in.
bro.
But thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
Andy.
Okay.
Like, the scenes of them walking down the street that last 10,000 years too long. This whole movie feels like a 90s sitcom. And I'm like, you know what? Give me them jams.
Okay.
Give me those fucking
Tim,
jams.
Tim, if you're gonna do it, you do it right. You get the 90s artists. Go ahead. Pay the money to get Snap Power, dude. I want it. I want Pump Up the Jam. I want the classic 90s. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. Don't try to force it in because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Rocky moves back into Polly's old place, and Polly's like, "Hey, good thing I kept this, right?" It's like, what? And then it's all super depressing because the whole town's there, like, "Hey, welcome back, Rocky." And he's like, "You guys are all fucking horrible losers." George Washington Duke calls them and tells Adrian he can help her live like a human being again, and she dumps him back on him and says, "We're living like human beings. You should try it." The next day, they walk Robert to school and tell him, he's like, "Listen, man, you're in the fucking jungle now. Everyone's going to try to come take a piece of you. You got to watch out for kids that are going to scam you. And since you're kind of a preppy nerd, man, they're just going to eat you alive when you go in there." And then Rocky tells him,
it's a deception. This kid, man, this
kid.
fucking nerd ass kid. Like, I can't believe that his sole characterization was, let's just make this kid a loser, man. Like, they went all out. Every single thing he said or did built this perfect narrative where I'm like, oh man, this is not going to go well for you. And then they do the Spider-Man 3 thing.
Yeah.
And then now he's bad. He has this
earring?
fun little fucking
The
earring. He's
is the
dancing down the
worst.
street.
Nobody, by the
mean-
way, I lived through the 90s. Nobody wore that earring.
No
They
one
didn't wear
no
that
one.
earring.
I mean, look, we kind of got what we're used to with Cobra Kai. We got the good to the bad to back to good again. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, how do we
Immediately.
make him look bad? Give him the
But
earring.
Look, dude, subtly is how you do it, right?
True.
You don't take a kid who has incredible diction, like a Shakespearean actor, and then turn him into Tony Manero from Staying Alive. I miss the Miyagi. Well, she never did anything bad or whatever. Like when he's smoking a cigarette, he's like, where did you start smoking now? He's like, hey, why don't you step off me, Holmes? Like, what the fuck is he talking about? It's so bad, and it's not Sage's fault. It's just
No,
the
it's
direction.
not.
They should have just subtle things would have gone that way.
I think he tried to be like Rocky. That's why he was trying to go for the "Hey, how you doing?" But I would like to point out another thing. Another thing that this movie has, and I blame this Andy, because once again, they went to the future, they saw a review, they went back to the past to make this movie, is that they injected so much Rocky-isms, and he started giving these speeches. He thought, you know what? I saved the world from Cold War.
Yeah.
I'm going to give every kind of speech opportunity I have. And it's your fault, Andy.
It is my fault.
It is
I
your
love
fault.
I love the Rockyisms, and as soon as we get that first sequence before he even breaks bad, when the kid's in bed, we have like he talks about the nude French teacher, and then Rocky tries to do the joke. He's like, "Dad, that's an old joke." He's like, "Oh, I don't really know things. I don't really know." And as soon as I heard that line, I was like, "Ah, man, he's trying to recapture that magic, and it's just not there anymore, man."
Not there.
Well, I'll tell you what is here, everyone. Back at the gym, waiting for him. Tommy, the machine gun, is waiting for Rocky, and he wants Rocky to train him. George Washington Duke interrupts them to pitch them hard again. They guarantee.
I love
you
it.
get-
He's
just there. He just comes out
dude.
everywhere, man.
And like, not only is he just there, there's something about it that this might have been how it was in Rocky 1, and I just didn't know. And they shot it in a way that didn't make this explicitly clear. That the bar that Rocky goes to, the gym that they go to,
And the pet
are
shop.
legitimately right across the street from each other. Fuck it, the stairs with the statue, they might as
Yeah.
well have been just right
It's
there.
right there.
They make Philly feel
pet shop's
so.
right there.
The pet shop is right
Yeah,
there.
there,
Like
yeah.
it feels so small. The first movie, we see this motherfucker walking with his ball like miles and miles and miles. You get the idea that he's like a cool Greg type. He's just out in the streets, he's just doing his
Right, the
thing.
night.
Here is just like it's the Disneyland version of the Rocky universe.
Yeah, you never want what you imagine the parody to be that close to what reality is. Where
Yes.
like in my imagination, the parody is like, where the fuck do you keep coming from? Like you're everywhere. Everywhere I go, you're here to like challenge me in some way. You like it again, it reminded me of Team Rocket. I don't know how he commandeered the PA system with his own microphone.
Of course, Rocky interrupts this. She comes over from the pet shop and tells him to go pound sand. And Rocky and Adrian argue. Rocky wants to know why she went back. He's like, why did you go back to the pet shop? And he goes, he's like, I gotta go. I gotta do this. You don't gotta do it. And she said, I went back there because I wanted to be here so I could be close to you. And it's like, oh man, how can you argue with that? And then he says, yo, Adrian, do we ever leave this place? She goes, I don't know, man. And then Tommy's just still there. And he goes, hey, so you gonna train me or what? It's like, dude, read the fucking room. Tommy.
Read the
What are
room,
you
bro.
doing, man?
He's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm from Oklahoma. I don't want to bother you, but I got nowhere else to go. But Tim, did you get Lucas Black vibes from this man?
Oh my god, yeah, entirely. Like this dude, you guys are right. It's like I couldn't believe they were going with him as the lead. You know, like immediately when he starts talking, I'm like, there's something up with him. I will say, I didn't expect him to turn on Rocky. I didn't expect the movie to go the way that it did. pretty much immediately you're like, oh, he's a bad cookie. But I thought Rocky was going to help him overcome that. I did not expect him to go the direction. So it's like, Lucas Black here, this dude.
Kind of same.
Similar but different. Different.
The thing about this is the start of Stallone using real athletes in these roles. Like Tommy Gunn was a real boxer. His name was Tommy Morrison. Of course, rest in peace, Tommy Morrison, not around anymore. But this is the start of him. He saw him. He was an undefeated fighter. He was doing really well, liked his boxing style, and he cast him in this movie. But the thing about it is, you'll see in later Stallone and Rocky movies, it's like it doesn't work so much to have these athletes that don't know a lick about acting to be in these pivotal roles. I think Nick said it the best. It's like, if he was likable, if he was charming, if he was like this country bumpkin that was mad charming, I think we would have felt a little bit more as like, dude, Stallone, you're holding him back. You should be happy that he's with this experienced seasoned promoter.
It's weird. Right. And we get to that moment where, in this movie, and we'll get there shortly, where he's like, when am I going to get my title shot? And Rocky's like, oh, you're not ready. We're not ready. Why is that even
people.
Why is that even his decision to make? Rocky's just a trainer.
Yeah.
Like, I guess he's his manager, quote unquote, but he's not a boxing promoter.
No.
Like, he's not even his purview. I'd be like, Rocky, you're not at the table making deals on my behalf. You're just managing my physical and mental well-being. Somebody else has to come in and do that.
I thought the same thing. I just thought it was a cheap way to make Stallone look like he was holding him back. I thought it was just a cheap way to kind of cause a rift in between them.
Of course, Washington and his cartoon villain cohort scheme on how they're going to get Rocky one day to fight. Meanwhile, E from Entourage kicks Sage's ass and steals his coat. And I love seeing a young Eric Connolly in this.
It's so good.
Why not? Again, with another banger of a mullet.
Good.
We cut over. Rocky has the gym back up and running, and Tommy stops by to show him what he's got. And then Tommy immediately rages out on a sparring partner, despite every single person, including the sparring partner, being like, yo, fucking stop.
Chill the fuck
what
out.
are you doing? And Paulie's like, oh, this kid's crazy. I smell opportunity. And the rest of us are like, no, I smell a major red flag of a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's
we should
the
put this kid on
odor
the
of
streets.
opportunity is what he said. And I'm like,
what he
I
said.
can't hate this bad guy. Ragu Bagu's going to be pretty interesting, boys.
My favorite thing about Rocky training is just so comedic. It's because the whole time Stallone's like, hey, Tom, you got to move your head like a metronome. You got to go back and forth. You got to block. I'm like, bro, you didn't block a single
Exactly.
time
Ever.
in your
That's why we're
entire
here.
career.
Preach to the
dude.
choir, dude. No, but it's like, Sancho, it's kind of like how I would coach golf. Like, I can't replicate it. I could tell you how to be a good golfer, but I can't really do the things myself.
The difference is there's footage of him being smacked in the face 1,000 times.
1,000,000 times.
Very true. Tommy wants Rocky to be his manager, but Rocky's like, I'm not a manager. Mick was a manager. I was always managed, and he wishes him good luck. After school,
Somehow I managed.
Jewel tries to make up to RJ, and they become friends. And this shot is the worst dolly shot I've ever seen in my entire life. It is very shaky and very weird. And
It's ridiculous. It lasts so long, and there's just hip hop music playing, and they're just like walking down the street. It's like, is this a fucking sitcom? Like, what is happening, man?
And then she tells Robert he's got a nice butt, and he immediately falls in love with her.
Yeah,
Tommy waits for Rocky and gives it one more shot, and he says, all I'm asking for is a chance.
Man.
What do you have to lose? He goes, and Rocky fires back. He says, what do you have to lose? What if I don't do good, right? What if I'm a bad manager? And then Tommy begs him for a chance. Just one shot. So Rocky gives in finally and invites him home for one of Adrian's home-cooked meals.
This conversation, I was like, I'm kind of into this. I don't think that they nailed it because of one specific reason. This is Karate Kid 3, but it's not Karate Kid 3 because Karate Kid 3 would have had a flashback that revealed that Tommy was one of the kids from Rocky 2 that was chasing him. Right?
Dude, Tim, that would have been dope.
And totally, like, they act, that's essentially his character, but instead they come up with this whack-ass backstory for him. They had the setup. They loved the flashbacks. They loved, especially this movie. Anything, do it again. I was like, oh, that was a swing and a miss.
The big miss.
That would have been dope. He would be like, hey, you look familiar, kid. Yeah, like, yeah, I was the one going, no.
Oh,
that would have been it.
I was the one who vomited on your shoes.
Yeah, they would never bring back a kid from one of those scenes for any of these movies. That would never happen, Sancho.
Oh my God! God damn it! Why do you do that?
I had to watch Rocky 6 last night to get ahead of it for next week, and I was like, oh wow, some decisions that were made.
Just so everybody out there knows. next week Nick is off for vacation, so that means that he's writing the plot for me to read, and I can't wait for that.
You
'cause
have to
anytime
read
it happens,
verbatim too, because I wrote so many things about Andy in there that I just want to come out of your mouth at once.
I fucking hate this. God damn it.
Oh man! At dinner later that night, Robert tells his dad
Piece of
about the
shit.
coat thief, and Tommy tells him to pretend like the bully is a balloon, one pop, and that's all. He'll go away. And Adrian's like, "We don't. That's not how we solve our problems here." And Tommy's like, "That's exactly how you solve your problems here. Your husband is a professional boxer." Robert wants his dad to teach him how to fight. Tommy tells him the first guy he ever knocked out was his own father, and Rocky says, "Well, at least you had an old man to knock out," and they bond and they're best friends forever. Rocky takes a fast liking to Tommy and gives him Robert's room. And it's like, well, okay, this is moving pretty fast. Robert pulls out all of Rocky's old stuff, made a cool shrine to him downstairs, and Rocky just kind of blows it off because he's overjoyed with his new toy, Tommy.
Again, this is one of those moments where it's like okay,
Woody.
let's give the kid some character, right? Like, all right, he's this weird nerd. What did he do in this scene?
He's a
I
weird
painted
nerd.
the room. I painted the whole. Why did they decide that him painting makes him a loser?
Well, no,
like,
he set up. He
it's
set
just
up the
such a
shrine.
weird. It's just
He
weird,
said-
man.
yeah.
I don't know. And this for how dumb this entire scene was. I had to take a step back and really process my thoughts on this movie. Where I was like, again, I expected Catwoman. This is more Karate Kid 3. So I'm sitting here and I wrote down the note. For as dumb as this movie is, Adrian was in a coma in Rocky 2.
Think about it. Don't
So
even
like,
think about
let's not act like these movies are more than they are. All right.
I mean, but
Make
she
Right,
came
there
out of
were
the
the
coma.
She came, dude. Yeah, she delivered the
came
banger
out
of
of
a
the
line.
coma.
Hit it with me,
that was
Nick.
incredible.
Hit it with me, Nick. She
Oh,
says,
Rocky, I need you to come here. I need you to do me a favor. I need
Come
you
on,
to
come
win.
on.
Win.
Yeah.
So fucking good. Nothing like that in this movie, though. Of course.
Nothing.
No.
Let's see. Robert. Anyway, next day he beats Robert's ass again, and then the next day, Rocky heads to church to get a blessing from Father Carmine, and makes a nice cameo appearance here for Tommy. So weird. Tom,
It's
funny,
getting like
cute.
MCU type cameos. Like, oh, he's fucking back, bro. It's crazy. The surgeon from goddamn Doctor Strange 1 is in here too.
I will have to say this was the first Rocky movie that actually has a subplot. I think I'm right about that. This whole underlying
Interesting.
current of
Yeah.
dealing with it. So I kind of enjoyed that there was a B plot. I just think that it was just the execution of it was sloppy because they built up the B plot with a montage, and I had to give Sage Stallone some credit. When he's like really yelling at him, it felt
I like
pretty
it.
authentic. I liked it. Like his acting was pretty good. RP Sage. But the thing about I feel that I just wish they did more of was like let me see that it's affecting him through Adrian, because as a parent, when you deal with your kid, the other parent usually deals with the backlash, or they deal with the results or the fallout from it. And I wish we got more of that, because I feel like Adrian's so underutilized in this movie, and she has been throughout the entire series, because all she does is like Rocky. She's a voice of reason, but I wish she was more the voice of reason for Sage Robert Jr. here.
Of course, Tommy fights in the same see ass rings that Rocky did back in the day, and he's losing because he's afraid. And Rocky tells him to let his fear burn like a volcano when it's ready to let explode all over the guy, heart and fire.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
And Tommy's like, he's like, you know, make it explode all over him. Get real close to him. Rocky, all right, let's stop with that joke right now. Tommy gets all fired up and explodes. He knocks his opponent out to the song "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go." by
Straight
Joe
up,
Wise.
dude. Straight
Might
up.
as well, dude.
We get a montage of Tommy training and climbing his way up the ladder and ranks as Robert tries to train with Polly, and he's like, "Well, that's not going to go well." Meanwhile, Union Kane is destroying people.
Mhm.
Tommy
Great
bets,
name. God damn, how do they come up with these fucking names?
So good,
Man,
good
it's
name,
incredible.
good name.
Tommy beats Rocky up the steps to the museum and starts wearing the stars and stripes shorts that Creed used to
That
wear.
was weird. That was
It's
weird.
very weird. That's well, you
Why?
have to imagine Rocky gave it to him. It was like, "Hey, you should wear these shorts," right?
It's
Could have been an
weird.
interesting scene, but those should have been. I mean, honestly, if you want a real talk, those should have been the things instead of the stupid necklace. That
Yes.
should have been the thing. Like Creed gave me these during my fight with Clever Lang, right? That's when he
Right.
gave him the shorts. He's like, and he's like, oh, he wanted me to emulate him and how he fights and all that stuff. It
I,
could've been
you know
cool.
what would have
Meant,
been cool?
meant a lot more.
It would have been cool to see him lose, like like Tommy Gunn lose a match or two. You know, made him doubt himself, and then let Stallone teach him like what to deal with loss or something like that. But
Mhm.
the thing about I would have been also is like if he told his son these were Apollo's shorts, it means the world to me. I love Apollo. 'Cause maybe sees Sage Stallone. Let's retcon this movie. Sees Sage Stallone build a shrine, put up the pants in a frame because he's a carpenter as well. Because I don't know, Sage Stallone has a lot of free time.
He
So
also knows how to cut glass.
he makes a frame, and then he sees Stallone sees his dad give these shorts away. Like, wait a minute, Dad, I thought those were mine. Like that was going to be my keepsake, versus you giving to this new guy that literally is sleeping and he's sleeping in my bed, eating my food type of beat. Like they could have explored that a little bit more.
What I need, Nick, is there to be a passing of the dice. We need somebody to give each other the dice from Last Jedi. We needed to see those dice come back in some way, you know.
Yeah,
just force it in here too.
It's wow, I see what you did there. Force it in.
Yeah.
It's Tim's favorite thing.
Favorite in the world.
The next day, E tries to pick on Robert again, but this time he's been training, man, and he beats his ass into the ground. And then, to their credit, Robert goes, "Hey, why don't we just leave it right here?" And E goes, "Yeah, man, fine by me." And then they're just best friends after that. Honestly,
Dude,
that's how it works. Honestly,
it kind of is, but
It's
not
kinda
like
is.
this. It's weird, man. Like when we get to the Christmas scene, please get there.
I kind of love. I mean, but it's one of those things where like I don't know that it ever really dawned on me. But when we do get to that scene, it's like, oh, they're all friends now. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Was the kid picked on him, and then Robert beat his ass and got his respect, and I was like, maybe we're just gonna hang out.
I think what made me laugh the most was when he says you just want to end this right here. I thought he was like, do you just want to kill me? Like I'm gonna kill you right here. And it was like, oh, so they meant end like the beef, squash the beef. I got you. I thought it was like we can end this shit right here, dude. Like I'm 12 years old, but I'm willing to commit murder on this playground.
Very 90s movie moment that I enjoyed. I like that.
Robert, of course, rushes to the gym and tells his dad what he did, that he knocked out Johnny Drama from Entourage, but Rocky couldn't care less.
Man, Johnny Drama, like as a kid, has
Not really Johnny Drama.
It's not as really.
or whatever is he has the stereotypical kid actor face.
Oh yeah.
Like if you would have told me that actor was in the Goonies and
Pete and
also
Pete.
Yep.
yeah, like I just feel like he like that face has been in every child sitcom and movie that we've watched since we were kids, you know.
Like on 90s AI, you type in 90s movie kid and his face.
Yes,
pops up.
yes.
Duke turns it on real hard and recruits Tommy to his side. Tommy wins his latest fight and starts demanding a shot at the title. Paulie tells Rocky his ship has sunk. He's like, it's over, man. This guy's got his hooks into him. Tommy, of course, has moved on to greener pastures. Christmas time. Man, and Rocky is trying to get a hold of Tommy because Tommy's supposed to be there. But Robert hangs out with E and the rest of the friends because they're just best friends now. And he watches Rocky make an ass of himself by trying to introduce Paulie as Santa Claus. And it's just a strange odd spectacle. And then he tells Adrian he's going to give Tommy Mick's necklace. And even Adrian's like, that's a terrible idea. That should go to your son.
I just feel like, look, if we don't put this sequence in here, the movie's going to be like an hour and 10 minutes long. We got to extend this runtime a little bit.
Would have been fine. Would have been totally fine.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah.
Tommy accepts Duke's offer while Rocky tries to pass Paulie off as the drunken Santa.
Probably the worst Christmas scene in cinema history.
Could have been. I mean, look,
I say that.
That's a good call. That's a good fucking call.
I'm going to put that here.
It's one of those things where it's like, I understand what they were going for. Again, I understand what they were going for. Like, Rocky's trying to be endearing. He's trying to, he knows that the kids don't think this is Santa. He even says that. He knows that it's Paulie, but he wants them to get in the Christmas spirit and play along. But they're just, Robert's just too far gone. And his earring is just way too cool.
So I guess important to note, this is a year after Russia.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because Tommy's had 10 fights at this point, which
is weird because
strange.
In boxing, you don't fight that much. That's what these montages didn't make sense. Is all of a sudden he would fight so many different fighters, and it's like the montage was comical. I remember at one point the guy bounces off the ropes and he uppercuts him up into the air, and it's knocks him off of his feet. And I just find it weird how they could have just done less with more in this movie. Just have him fight a couple of fights and let him we see the prospect in him. He could be a great fighter versus he's obliterating everybody. And Rocky's he doesn't deserve a title shot, even though he clearly does.
Does that clearly.
It should have worked that way. And one of the most interesting things I feel about this Christmas scene, and this is where Sage actually does his best work in, is that this is where I really felt like this is ABC sitcom Stallone, the way he's reacting to this entire thing. Like he's in over. It's so fascinating because I feel like they could have captured that he's in over his head a little bit more. Like he doesn't know about training. He doesn't know how to be a dad. Because even think about it, the entire series, Rocky 3, he's literally not with his son at all. And Rocky 4, not with his son at all, basically, almost. So it's like, this is the first time he's literally with him all the time because he has no job. He's literally a trainer. So, and instead of being with him, he's training Tommy. So I wish that could have been a cool thing to explore too.
And of course he says that to Rocky. He was like, "Why?" He's like, "You changed. He's like, you're the one who's changed. You said I'd be number one. You lied." And then he tells Rocky, "He's like, you should be the one to watch out for scams and deceptions, not me, because this guy.
If you could change, we could change.
We could change.
Yes.
Everyone could
All
change.
could change.
For no reason, Duke comes over with Tommy to give him the bad news. Merry Christmas, Rocky. You're out. Rocky begs him not to sell out, but Tommy's already signed the papers and he's already got the cool Chevrolet or whatever that car is.
Hide the kids. It's time to rage war. God, I love this guy.
Tommy tears off and Rocky loses it on Adrian. He says, "I'm just another bum from the neighborhood now." And she fires back. She goes, "All those beatings you took in the ring, I took them with you. But Tommy's not you. He doesn't have your heart. If there's something you want to pass it on to your damn son." Rocky, of course, heads out and finds Robert just ripping a heater with his friends and wearing that stupid earring. And he apologizes for being an asshat the entire time. He says, quote, "I know I made a few mistakes, but I would love to hang with you and just you and me. I swear to God, it's just going to be you and me this time." And the kid's like, "All right, that's all I really wanted to hear." Of course, Tommy gets a shot at Union King, and it turns out that Union King is a paper champ. He actually does not a very good fighter, and Duke's been handing him bad fighters the entire time, and he was hurt. Was he hurt?
Yeah, because it was like that was part of the press conference. It was like, yeah, they're like, "What about Union King? He wasn't 100%." And then he's like, "Oh, we had to have this fight." And that's when Tommy's like, "Wait a minute, am I being set up to be like, am I not as great as I thought it was?" Because I feel like that's the scam that Stallone was talking about, or Rocky was talking about, that this guy's gonna scam you, he's gonna mislead you, he's going to put you in this paper champion type thing. Because that's why he's like, "I don't understand this conference." Is like, "I'm the best. I just beat the champion, and this crazy reporter gallery doesn't care."
You're nothing, kid.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's like, you're a reporter. Shut up. Just sit there and write the story, you weirdo.
Hey,
Yeah,
you're
this
getting like, hey, are you a plant? Like, you are like, it seems like you're just trying to get drama or something.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh man, very, very weird. Let's see the audience. Well, he beats Union King. The audience boos.
Wait,
but
so
Rocky. I'm sorry.
Before we get there, we get the whole scene of like immediately after him with the kid being like, "It's just me and you, kiddo,"
Right.
like all that shit. And then we see them watch the fight, and Rocky just get transfixed by the fight.
Yeah,
and
he's not
start
paying attention to the
punching
kid.
along with it. And like, dude, honestly, when it first started, especially right after butt up against that scene, I was like, this is so fucking awkward and weird as shit, and it doesn't make any sense at all. But then as it keeps going on, and the cuts between seeing the kid, seeing Adrian, seeing Rocky get more and more intense, I was like, this is actually incredible. I thought that it was like really fucking great. I just think that it didn't make sense in its placement in the film.
Right. Well, there's two things. It's like Rocky starts acting weird when Tommy wins, and then in this thing, I don't know why the crowd, like, I don't know why Adrian and Paulie feel so like, let him enjoy his pupil winning. Like, that's what I thought when I was watching. Like, let him enjoy it. He's not acting too strange. He's just into it. Right?
I don't think it was that. I think they just felt bad for Rocky.
Right.
I think to me that was the whole point. Is like, you wanted Rocky to not watch the fight because you knew it was going to take a toll on him. But
and it did.
Adrian, I think, plays it well. Where she lets him watch it and she understands, but he's just going through it because he should be there with Tommy. Which he probably should have been there with Tommy anyway. He should have just been like, "Yeah, I mean, this guy's going to get you a title shot. I should stay with you and train you and make sure you go through this and beat every single person that he throws at you." But instead, he's watching from his basement at home. Look at that little noogie.
It's such a parody scene. Like, this feels like something done in a parody. We were like, yeah, the kid's gonna look up real sad, and there's Rocky playing with his little 10-year-old son right here. You little rascal. You little rascal. It's such a bizarre choice.
I'm sorry. Did we forget to rate that? Is that
I
the
think we
montage
have
of this
to.
movie?
That is the Monty, man.
The full Monty?
Oh my
The full
gosh.
Yo,
Ladies and gentlemen,
currently-
welcome to the full Monty. Currently, Tim, do you have those rankings?
I do. Number
Okay,
one,
go for it.
Rocky 2 and Rocky 4 are tied. Number 2, Rocky 1 and 3 are tied. Can we just decide that Rocky 5 goes last? Because,
Pretty
yo,
simple.
this is
Yeah,
bad, man.
And what makes it bad is the cuts to Duke. it goes right into his face. He's always like, yeah, like that. He's like, yeah. And I don't understand why they keep cutting to his face. The fighting is not great. Tommy is a lughead in this, and it's the worst. This doesn't get me hype at all.
No hype at all.
No
I was
hype at
trying to
all.
remember what else that actor did.
Tommy?
The Duke actor. No,
the Duke?
The guy that plays Duke in this. And I want to say he's not the guy from Seinfeld, is he?
Oh, is he?
Is he the guy that played the Johnny Cochran lawyer, like style lawyer in Seinfeld?
Dude,
I
that would
have
make
no idea.
so much sense. Did
he?
Because
Oh,
Don
God.
King is one. Like, I get why they were doing, like, they were trying to pull okay. For those of you who know, Don King is a very charismatic promoter. He was ahead of his time. He did the Thriller Manila. He's the guy that comes up with these great fights, especially for not Thriller. Was it Thriller Manila? Was he around at the time? No, he was more of the Mike. Don King was Mike Tyson era. Sorry. Mike Tyson era was Don King, right? Don King, he was the hype machine of the 90s. This guy could he was
known for like taking a really massive cut from boxers, and he was very controversial in that way.
Very controversial. Had the hair as if he got blown up by an Acme Dynamite. This guy was boxing of the 90s, so it made sense for Stallone to write a character like this in this movie. But this dude is literally like 1.5% what Don King was. He's nowhere close to as cool as Don King was, and nowhere as impactful as Don King was.
How does it feel to be wrong, Sancho?
What do you? Look
I
at this
fucking
guy.
love this guy.
Look at Don King. This dude knew everything about promotion. He was the Apollo Creed of his time. Everything about Don. Granted, he, not a lot of people liked him, but but Don King was what they were going for with his character, and I think he's just one-dimensional of this Duke character. Nick, did you find out if he's
not the same guy?
Okay,
he's not the same guy, unfortunately.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think, but dang it, yeah, I can't find. Oh, Jackie Childs is the guy's name. Oh, okay, different actor. But anyway, to your point, yeah, this guy Don King, by the way, I think might have been a criminal too. Like, but didn't he like steal from people?
He was a shady dude.
He's a shady dude.
Mad shady dude.
Oh, that's what you could do. Anyway, let's see. I know this guy from something's gonna piss me off, but I'll look it up later. Anyway, the press conference lays it out to Tommy. Everyone knows Union King was a paper champ. You got to find a real opponent. And dude tells Tommy there's only really one way out of this. You got to fight Rocky and win. And he's like, no, it's not happening. Anyway, he's like, he's like, okay, fine, let's set it up with Rocky. And Duke's like, no, let's go tonight. And he's like, oh, okay. So they head over to the pub that night and challenge Rocky to a fight that night.
We were supposed to be brothers, Anakin. That is all the scene was, man.
Wait. Nick, he's the older cop in The Big Lebowski. Remember the cop? And the Big Lebowski was like talking to him, and they're sitting there, and he's like the business papers, and he's like, and those Credus tapes. That's him.
Oh, fuck. Okay. That's not what I'm thinking about him from, but I know, I
Okay.
got to look it up because this guy's been in a ton of stuff.
Was he in Norbit? Is that the other movie that you're thinking about?
No.
Jason Goes to Hell?
Maybe Jason Goes to Hell.
Okay,
Huge
fair
fan of that for sure.
Fucking
sure.
Norbit. Oh my God. I didn't think I'd ever hear the word Norbit again in my life.
Well, guess what, Andy? Tim, do you want to tell him? Norbit in review.
He was also in Godzilla, maybe? You saw that movie for In Review?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the guy's been in a ton of stuff. I'll look it up later. Anyway, Rocky pulls the curtain. A couple of bar goers see this whole thing go and ask Rocky if he needs help. And for no reason, Rocky looks at the two guys and goes, "This ain't no pie eating contest." It's like, well, fuck you, Rocky.
Yeah, dude.
I was just trying to get your back, bro. But okay.
The fuck, man. And then I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, are they really just about to do this? Or is this a setup for the next scene? It's like, no, they're doing this. Then I start seeing guys with cameras and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to televise it. And then as I say that to Gia, they start televising it and we hear, Mom, it's Dad. He's on television. He's fighting. And I was like, I can't wait for In Review. This is the best use of the Dump Tim shit ever. I can't believe they had live TVs ready to televise this street fight. It was awesome.
I'll tell you what, they're
the cops were all there holding people back. Like, let's go.
Yeah. This fight's happening tonight.
Rocky tries to tell Tommy, he's like, this guy's just using us. He's trying to get us in the ring to make money. And Tommy's like, I don't care. Then Paulie calls him a piece of garbage and Tommy knocks out his front tooth. And then Rocky steps up. He says, you knocked him down? Why don't you try knocking me down? And then Duke yells, in the ring. And then fucking Rocky says, my ring is outside.
Okay.
Okay. So they take it to the streets, and Rocky just lets it on him and starts beating his ass into a chain link fence. And then Tommy gets to his feet, and we got ourselves a street fight
Do you
right outside
think-
of Mick's gym.
Did they add? I heard a lot of Masters of the Universe sound effects in this fight. Did you hear the same thing too, Nick?
No, I can go back and watch it, but I don't recall hearing that.
I heard a lot. Remember that in Masters of the Universe, which you guys should review one day. Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. Yes, He-Man, and he was fighting Skeletor. They had this moment of like when they're exchanging blades. It was like this like screeching sound. And this was the same effects that they had in this fight. This fight was shot weird though. It was very crisp. And when it goes into the flashback with Mickey, he has this weird blue hue, and it zooms in on his face in such an aggressive way.
It's a horror movie.
It freaks me out, and it shows Dolph Lundgren, and it's just like going, and it's scary.
I'll tell you what I really didn't like about this fight, because the rest of it's perfect. Like this whole sequence is so flawless.
Is it though?
It's perfect.
Did you like the Russian leg sweep that Stallone pulls off in it too? Is that?
Oh, that was great. That's actually an incredible move. You guys,
What I really didn't like.
Move after.
Yeah, I know.
I really didn't like them trying to inject some sort of dynamism. Is that the word I'm looking for? Where they get where Duke is like, he's not as strong. He'll never be Rocky. Like they're trying to add like this kind of similar to what happened at the end of 4 when when Dolph Lundgren's like 8 promoters in the corner are like, you're a bum, you're a fucking like, you're a disappointment in Russia. Having Duke trying to be that sort of antagonist towards Tommy Gunn and be like, no, Rocky, he'll never be as good as you are. Like it felt completely flat for me. It's like, don't try to add this in here.
Too many elements.
Let this be what it is. It's stupid as fuck. Like we don't need to try to somehow feel sympathy for Tommy Gunn. This is all just really stupid.
His windbreaker was dope though. I like Tom.
I mean, his whole look was incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Of course, Rocky gets knocked down. Polly screams for him. We get the ghost of Christmas Past that comes and haunts him for no reason. The whole thing is weird as shit. And then the ghost of Mickey screams at him. He ain't no machine. I don't hear no bell. Get up, you son of a bitch. Mickey loves you.
Oh no, the music's so bad too.
From behind and Rocky
incredible music.
So bad, dude.
And says, I didn't hear no bell. One more round. And then Rocky straight punches him in the back of the head and then starts fucking wrestling him. Tommy
only in America.
Only in America.
Oh, there it is. Look at I like it, Andy. That is a dope windbreaker.
This is the other Twitch one that I ended up getting. I ended up getting this other Twitch jacket.
It's
looks
very
good.
cool, Andy. I like it.
Fight ready.
What's on the back? Nothing? Anything on the back?
Nah.
Let's show everyone your shoes.
But I love that the pocket little strings are all like purple or no, they're all pink.
Yeah.
These little pink. Oh, you want to see the shoes? Yeah, shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Here you
down.
go. Check out the shoes, everybody. Check out the.
Oh.
These are the ones that Nick really, really hated. These are the ones that Nick
I like
talked a
those.
lot of
Sam,
shit
what do you
about.
think? Yep. Okay.
I like the
Fucking-
zebra. I like it.
You
I
missed
like
it. You missed it earlier. Nick was like, what do y'all think of this color on me?" And he like showed his shirt, and I just went, "Hmm." And he was like, "No, don't fucking do that."
You can't hook me, man. You can't hook me. Oh man, we'll just skip to the end. Rocky wins.
Who gives a shit?
The sexy sax Rocky theme kicks in this time after he
Yeah.
wins, and I'm like, God, I love the fucking 90s, man.
Tim, you're at the point where you're like, what's the theme going to be in the 2000s?
I know.
Like, how are we going to evolve this? Are we going to get Pitbull on? Are we going to get the
Oh.
Backstreet Boy? Like, who
I hope
knows?
Rocky Balboa has Pitbull
Yeah.
in this.
Really good stuff. Good
We do
movie.
get one more scene here where Duke is like, only goddamn, only in America. And then Rocky squares off against him. He goes, touch me and I'll sue. And Rocky goes, sue me for what? The rights to this movie? Who the hell would want that? And then he blasts him into the stratosphere. And then we get another scene with Rocky and Robert running up the steps to the museum. Rocky gives his son Mickey's necklace and says, you know, I've been running up these steps for 20 years. I never knew there were valuable pictures in this building. And Robert goes, you're going to love Picasso. And Rocky goes, yeah, well, I love almost everybody.
I love that.
And they
that
go,
was
a very
fun
good line. Yeah. I love almost everybody, you know? Like,
and then we get the most perfect credits for this movie. Not perfect credits in general, just for this movie. We just get every single scene that mattered in any Rocky movie in black and white as the credits go. We never hit the white on black credits the entire way through. We're just getting every single moment that happens in these movies while the lamest pop song plays. And
Elton
like
John.
Dude,
Measure of a man.
it's so funny where it's like,
Tim.
oh man, y'all lost it here. You fucked it up.
How dare you, Tim? Because this is the same Elton John. This is the same Elton John that gave us that banger of a song from Lion King, right? And that they were like, we want this moment right now. We want. Which one was it? Hakuna Matata? No, what did he do?
Yep. Elton John's Hakuna Matata.
Feel the love
Okay.
tonight.
That's
Can you
right.
feel the love tonight?
Exactly.
Can you feel the love
tonight?
tonight?
To me, this credits it told me when I was watching it, and I watched it again, and if I cannot remember that Rocky Balboa was coming, that this is the end. Like, this is it. This is our goodbye. Thank you so much for coming.
That's how you read it.
And I hated it. It
'Cause
like
I read it like this, Ancho. Remember all the other cool stuff we did? how about that A score, that A+ cinema score when y'all leave the theater? Come on.
So here's the deal. When the same time I watched another movie called A League of Their Own. Okay.
Oh, great
A
movie.
League of
Great
Their Own
movie.
is the other's perspective of this entire venture.
Great sports movie.
Now, at the end of that movie, they did this as well, but they used the actual pictures of the girls from the All-American League, right? From
Amazing.
that. And that is how you do what they wanted to do, all right? This movie just shoves it in your face and says, yes, look at all the cool things we did, and look how far we come. This is a garbage trash on fire.
You'll love to see it. Now it's time to get to all the fun little podcasts within a podcast. Andy, please hit it.
7 syllables in the middle.
All
you
right.
need 5 for the first and last line.
I do.
If it's not poetic, no need to fret. And haikus don't need to rhyme.
The candle.
Haiku and review.
Yeah.
Haiku and review.
Copeland.
That was incredible, guys. Y'all killed that. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your reviews in haiku form, just like Joshy G did. The angel whispers, "Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you."
Such
There
a
we
wasted line. Such a wasted dope line.
Yeah.
Color on me.
You're right. Hit us with the Ragu Oppo.
Ragu. Oppo. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk, the opponents of the Rocky franchise. We'll just put him at number 6. I don't even know why we're bothering with it.
You're right.
I
Tommy
don't
Gunn's
know.
so bad.
I don't
Here
know.
we go. Number
Listen.
1, Apollo from Creed 2. Number 2, Drago. Number 3, Apollo from Creed 1. Number 4, Clubber Lang. Sasha, where are you at with this?
Listen, knowing where Rocky 6 is, and I know Nick just saw it, but I know I like Tommy.
We can't rank that yet, though. We don't know where that is.
I'm going to put Tommy last, not at 6, but I like Tommy.
Okay.
I like Tommy because he himself looked good. He looked like a Stallone character. Like he fought like Rocky. He looked really good in terms of the way he was like just kind of like just moving people into the corner. And his only downfall was that he didn't have any acting experience. This was his first role, and for him to be in this seat, so I give him a 5. And the only thing it would have made the anime turn harder is that he got closer to Stallone and he was more charming, and that's not his fault. It's just he couldn't perform that well.
I'll say this. I always feel like I'm pretty decent in knowing when somebody's never acted in their life, and to me this just felt like late 80s, early 90s acting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the read of this dude's never had an acting role in his life. He's just an actual real boxer, and they're taking him from the ring, and it's like auditioning him for this part. To me, it kind of just felt like a lot of other cheesy 80s and 90s acting that we've gotten from a lot of other actual professional actors. So I do want to shout that out for him, because I never once felt like, oh my God, this is unbearable. Like, it was never Lucas Black fast Tokyo Drift levels for me, you know?
Can E be a part of this? Can it be Tommy Gunn and E?
That's my thing. Is if we had my boy Washington Duke, it's a little higher for me. But even then, I do think overall it still lands in last place. If I'm being honest.
If we're all agreement with that before we move to the next podcast within the podcast, which is the
Final Fight Hype.
The Final Fight Hype.
Oh, hold on.
Andy.
Theme song. We'll rank the fights. Is it hype or boring?
Did we rank
Currently,
Rocky 4?
Number 1,
Okay.
Rocky 4. Number 2, Rocky 2. Number 3, Rocky. And number 4, Rocky 3. There's
I
some
mean-
hype in this, man. I'm gonna be
No.
fucking real. It's dumb as shit. It's dumb as shit. But when we get the fucking 90s Rocky theme, we get all the stupid shit. It's stupid. It's
No.
stupid. But I've had problems with a lot of the final fights. I don't think any of them really are that special when you get down to it. Having said that, I still put it at number 5.
Yeah, I think this is number 5, only because you don't care. What are the stakes on this fight? Pride? Who cares? These guys, like, you know what I mean? It's like Tommy's gonna have 2-3 more fights, then probably be done. Rocky's broke. Who gives a shit? There's nothing really at stake here.
Yeah, it's a good point.
It's like it's like you wish that this fight could have knocked Tommy out of his perspective and proven to him that, hey, all you really need is heart. Like all you're lacking
You're
is
right,
heart.
Lou Russo. You're right.
Which is, but it's not. Tommy walks away from this and like he's, he didn't really learn anything. Rocky didn't really learn anything. I don't know. It's kind of boring. I do love that Rocky just starts throwing wrestling moves out of nowhere. It's like, well, you've been training some
Thunder
MMA,
lips,
but
dude. Thunder lips, baby.
pretty
Yep.
cool. But at the end of the day, I just want, when they start this fight, I just want it to be over. I want the whole movie to be over by this time, and that's not good.
I
Now it's
remember I was gonna say, when I remember when I was a kid, I thought Mickey's moment hit harder when I was a kid. It just didn't hit for me here.
Yeah.
It was the most emotionless like moment that I've ever felt in Rocky's series, and it's just a bummer that it was Meredith Burgess that was behind it.
Now it's time to rank the Rocky movies. Currently, number 1 is Rocky 2. Number 2 is Rocky 1. Number 3 is Rocky 3. Number 4 is Rocky 4. Where would we put Rocky 5?
Dude, at 5.
It's last, man.
For
It's just
sure.
it
It's
is.
last.
Although it's not
7,
6th.
8, 9.
It's not 9th. It's not. No, it is.
10.
It is 5th. It deserves 5th.
10. Put it at 10. Put it down there at the very bottom. Again, it felt like a Saturday Night Live performance from Stallone. There was nothing redeeming in this movie. It's a travesty. It should have never been shown, but as always, only in America, baby, we would get this
Only
kind
in
of movie.
America,
Only
baby.
in America, we would get this. Hey, how much money did it make? What was the box office for this?
The box
120
office for this
something?
one was 120.
Oof.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But I mean, but to be fair,
It doesn't get much better for the next one either. Box office
To be fair, they didn't really need to make much money back on this because they shot most of it on the streets in Philadelphia without permits. So, like, just put some car lights on them. We'll just shoot this like it's like it's an indie film. It's super easy.
So that
Oh,
was
man.
Rocky 5 and review the new rankings. It's number 5. But we're going to return next week with Rocky Balboa, the 6th and final Rocky movie, before returning to this in review next year for Creed 1, 2, and 3. I'm very excited for all of this. Where are they going to go? 16 years, Andy, until Rocky Balboa. What the fuck?
No. It's
could
not
it be?
where it's not where are they gonna go. It's where is Nick gonna go with
Can we-
his plot
Yes.
telling.
That's a
Yes.
good point. I'm excited for that. But please, can I say this?
Mhm.
As someone who's first time joining in review, can we add over the top? Can we add over the top?
Absolutely not.
Is that
Can
the
we-
arm wrestling
Absolutely
movie?
not.
Please,
We do not need to
please, it's
expose
so
Tim to that
good.
movie.
It's so good.
It's so bad,
Please,
guys.
please,
It's
take
really
me my
not.
birthday present.
It deserves to be on this list. It
Look,
deserves to be
maybe-
on this list.
Maybe May 26th, Kevin's birthday, 2023. If enough people remind me, if there's enough demand, we'll do Over the Top in review as part of Rocky in review.
I love
but
you,
thank
Kevin.
you guys.
I love you, Kevin.
Thank you for hanging out with us. Sasha, where can people find you?
You can find me at everything at Sancho West. I love the vibe. And of course, you can see me on PS I Love You XOXO
Yeah.
coming to at the same time of today. So thank you so much
Mhm.
for the love.
Great stuff for everybody. Nick, we're going to miss you for the next one. Remember,
I'll be
to
back for
send
Over
your
the Top.
ranking. Send me I need all your rankings for all the different
That
podcast
sounds
stuff.
good. I will do. Don't worry about that.
Hell
I got
yeah.
I got you covered.
Very, very excited. Until next time, I love you all.
Hey.
Goodbye.
Keep on punching.